For months and months, our fake news media have been freaking out over a meeting Donald Trump Jr. took with a Russian lawyer in the hopes of getting some dirt on Hillary Clinton. Again and again, we have been told that this is the smoking gun of collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russian government. Of course, that is nonsense. Moreover, Don Jr. and the others in attendance caught on to the scheme within a few minutes, and as far as we now know, that was the end of that. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said of others, who actually have colluded with the Russians as a means to dig up dirt on Trump. Here are 7 American politicians and institutions who have or are at least suspected of colluding with the Russians as a means to destroy President Trump. The CIA. Although the far-left New York Times is desperately hoping to control the explosion of this bombshell by shrouding it in a laughable story about the CIA trying to retrieve stolen National Security Agency cyber weapons, the anti-Trump outlet is still forced to report that after months of secret negotiations, a shadowy Russian bilked American spies out of $100,000 last year, promising to deliver stolen National Security Agency cyber weapons in a deal that he insisted would also include compromising material on President Trump, according to American and European intelligence officials. And that $100,000 was only supposed to be the first down payment towards a cool $1 million. The CIA was hoping for images of Trump urinating on hookers in Moscow hotel rooms. All they got was a 15-second clip of some guy in a hotel room talking to some women. The payoff happened in September of last year. Representative Adam Schiff, DCA. In early 2017, Democrat Adam Schiff, the ranking member of House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, so you would think he would know better, thought he was colluding with Ukrainian officials to get compromising materials against Trump. The Ukrainian officials ended up being Russian pranksters. The best you can say about Schiff is that he colluded with Russians to make a horse's ass of himself. Senator Mark Warner, DVA. In March of last year, Mark Warner, the top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, colluded with a lobbyist for a Russian oligarch to dig up dirt on Trump. Naturally, because he has no spine, Senator Marco Rubio, RFL, immediately ran to Warner's defense. Senator Warner fully disclosed this to the committee 4 months ago, the jellyfish tweeted. There is just one problem. If you look at the timeline, that full disclosure came a full 7 months after the collusion occurred. Rubio fired off another non sequitur in Warner's defense. Has had zero impact on our work, Rubio wrote, as though that means anything when it comes to the fact that Warner colluded with Russians to harm a sitting president and hid that information from the committee for more than a half year. Fusion GPS and Christopher Steele. Steele is the former British spy hired by the D.C-based Fusion GPS to put together the phony Russian dossier that even disgraced former FBI Director James Comey declared salacious and unverified. To compile these lies, Steele reportedly worked directly with Kremlin officials. How good were these sources? Consider what Steele would write in the memos he filed with Simpson. Source A, to use the careful nomenclature of his dossier, was a senior Russian foreign ministry figure. Source B was a former top-level intelligence officer still active in the Kremlin. And both of these insiders, after speaking to a trusted compatriot, would claim that the Kremlin had spent years getting its hooks into Donald Trump. In other words, Steele and Fusion GPS colluded with the Russians to manufacture lies about Trump. Steele then leaked those lies to a complicit media in the hopes of manipulating the outcome of the 2016 presidential election. Fusion GPS also spearheaded the campaign to undo the Magnitsky Act, American legislation imposing sanctions on Russian officials and other figures close to Vladimir Putin. Their work featured a smear campaign against the driving force behind the Magnitsky Act, financier William Browder. If successful, this Fusion GPS campaign would have been of great benefit to the Russian government and countless oligarchs who want the Magnitsky Act's sanctions lifted. The Hillary Clinton campaign. Hillary's 2016 presidential campaign hired Fusion GPS to put that dossier together. In other words, the Clinton campaign's paid agents colluded with Kremlin officials to manufacture lies about Trump that would then be leaked to a complicit media in the hopes of manipulating the outcome of the 2016 presidential election. The Democrat National Committee, DNC. The DNC hired the D.C-based Fusion GPS to put that dossier together. In other words, the DNC's paid agents colluded with Kremlin officials to manufacture lies about Trump that would then be leaked to a complicit media in the hopes of manipulating the outcome of the 2016 presidential election. The FBI. Our own FBI not only put Steele on the payroll, a guy who colluded with the Russians to manufacture lies about Trump, the FBI used lies and the dossier including Kremlin lies to obtain FISA warrants to spy on Trump campaign affiliates.